Good morning. My name's Mandy Offerly, and I'm with the Cedar Key News. And I have with me here Stephanie May, who is running for a Cedar Key Water and Sewer District open seat for the first time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll start with our questions.
Okay.
If you take a moment and think about the self-introduction that you wrote for us.
Yes.
Okay, now if you have anything you'd like to add to that now that you've thought of since that you didn't write about, anything you'd like your audience to know?
Well, the main thing I think everybody wants to know, one of the first things everyone asks is, why am I running?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I put in there that, you know, I'm sixth generation Cedar Key. I don't think that really matters a whole lot one way or the other. You know, I didn't grow up in Cedar Key. My family is from here. I grew up in Gainesville, but since I separated from the Marine Corps, this has been my home. But with my job, I've had to travel a lot, and I'm gone a lot, and didn't have a lot of time. But now I work more remotely, and I wanted to get involved for quite a while, and I just never felt like I could give the commitment that it needed. And so I'm in a position now where I feel like I can. So I would like to get involved in the community and try to make a difference.
Okay, okay. Being a part of the community is really important, especially if you want to be a commissioner. So the question is, what have you done for the city of Cedar, not the city of Cedar Key, but the community of Cedar Key thus far?
Well, that's a very good question. I have I've always just tried to be involved with the community. I think I'm very involved with the Baptist Church. I've done a lot, you know, with them, and just, you know, we do a lot of, like, you know, making food for shut-ins, and I haven't been able to do, I've done some delivering food, but like I said, with my job keeping me gone so much during the day, I haven't been able to be involved in a lot of that, but just, you know, trying to make them a part of the church, even though they can't necessarily come and, you know, worship all the time.
Your job, you mentioned, how will you manage the labors of the water district and the job? How will they connect time-wise and energy-wise?
So I've always worked outside sales, which required me to do a lot of driving. So I spent a lot of time in my car, you know, up and down the road on appointments. Mm-hmm. My job is now switched to a position where I work remotely from home. So it's all by phone, and I can do it right there from my home office. So I'm not going to have that commitment of being gone. I can be here to be involved in whatever aspect that I will be needed.
Okay, that's a big change in a lifestyle.
It's a very big change,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Can you talk to us at all about the Sunshine Law, its advantages and disadvantages?
I absolutely cannot. As a matter of fact, the first I'd heard of it was when it was brought up in the meeting last night, and I put it in the back of my mind. I was like, I need to look that up and find out more about it.
It's okay.
I assume it's something about you keeping things private, like the board not discussing things outside of the board amongst each other, kind of like a jury should not. Am I correct about that?
Well, it's a more complex answer, so I don't want to.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is, but that was the kind of the nuts and bolts I kind of gathered
It's important that you eventually you'll get to it, I'm sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How many commission water board meetings have you been to thus far?
So I've been to 3.
Okay.
And but I've been in my spare time going back and trying to read the minutes from previous meetings to try to get caught up on some of the long-term things that have been discussed.
And they are thorough minutes, are they not?
They are.
They are written by John McPherson. I know.
Yeah.
They're so thorough. I know. They're wonderful.
It's very detailed.
It is. To the point where sometimes you say, what am I doing? Yes. Well, do you think those 3 meetings and you're doing your homework with the minutes qualifies you for this position?
Well, I do, and I definitely have a lot to learn, but I'm eager to get involved and learn it. I went and spent some time with Chad earlier this week, and I got a tour of the whole plant, and that was very eye-opening. That was very. Those boys work really hard. They're doing a really good job. So, and I just want to come in and provide support for them, you know, so they can do their job and give us the clean water that we all want.
Okay, that was one of my questions. Have you ever toured a plant? Which one? Did you tour both, or did you tour one?
I toured both of them.
Okay. Who took you on your tour?
Chad did.
Okay, wonderful.
But my time in the military, in the Air Force, I'm in the civil engineering squadron, and now the plumbing and the water is not my job, but I provide direct support for them whenever we're deployed and in the field. So I've kind of been around the whole, treating water to make it potable for consumption.
So how, you say you've been around it. What did you do there?
Well, so I provide support for them in, ways of, like I said, we're the civil engineers, so with just equipment and helping repair like pipes when they would bust and different things like that. So I was not necessarily in there treating the water, but as a water board member, I'm not going to be treating the water either. It's more to give support to the employees of the water department, so they have the resources and what they need to do their job efficiently.
Okay. How many, well, you've just answered that question, I'm sorry. Where do you get, lots of weighty decisions come to the water board. Where do you get your information about what is going on at the water board?
Well, at this point, so when I leave the water board meetings, I ask questions, and I've gone up to the water department and I've asked them, and I've asked other people in the community that I think may know. I've done some of my own research, but they do have some pretty heavy decisions to make. And what I gathered in my time with Chad the other day is that they have some pretty big long-term goals, but there's also some short-term necessities, things that need to, and things that have been problems they have solved, solutions that they've accomplished, but then there's a lot that still needs to be done. And so my goal as a member of the water board is to just try to work really hard to get the resources for them, and and money's the issue. That money's the biggest issue. So try to work to get grants and in different ways to get funds so they can accomplish what they need to keep our water clean and clear.
Good.
Yeah.
So you mentioned doing, talking to Chad and reading minutes. Is there anything else specifically you've done to prepare yourself for this position?
No. I mean, I guess mostly that's what I've done. Like I said, I feel like, as a member of the water board, it's not necessarily my job to make the water clean. That's the employees. Our job is to just give them the resources they need. So I think it's just a matter of like looking into the budget and seeing, what money we have, where the money's going, and what we need to do to get the money they need.
Okay. Well, and speaking of money, what is the annual budget of the water board?
I don't know. I've looked at it and I can't remember the actual numbers. I've looked over the budget quite a few times, and he discussed it in the meeting.
Do you have a sense of how the money comes in?
Well, I'm assuming the money comes in through, we have it through, like there's tax, so there are water bills, and then there's tax on that, and then we get some from the city, I know, and probably from the county, and then we work on grants and things to supplement.
Great. And you also mentioned that the Cedar Key Water Board has done a number of things import in the last bunch of years. 5-10 years. What are some of those things that they have accomplished? So
I know that they've brought in a pretty sophisticated filtration system that's done a lot for the all the bad minerals that everyone was getting the letters in the mail. This is in our water. So they've got a pretty sophisticated filtration system that they've brought into place. They've updated a lot of the just outdated equipment, valves, gears. There's still a lot of that needs to be done, but they're working on just updating and improving a lot of things that were just old and outdated.
Okay, that's great. Do you have any idea when the water board was established and why and when and who did it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
That's a very good question.
It is.
I'm going to look into that. That's a good question.
Because historically, that's to know where you're coming from is very, very important. And you've already been to a sewer plant. Whoa, that's great. Can you tell us about how the money comes in, and you've answered that. Do you have any idea generally how the money is spent?
Well, I can see in the, it's in the minutes, how the budget's broken down. So, I mean, it shows, I know that there's some loans out there that we're paying on, obviously, and then there's the employees, their pay. So, I mean, all that's broken down on, and then, all the resources like the chlorine and the salt and the, I know one thing Chad was saying, all the big pipes, and he said, they're getting really hard to get. So when he can get he tries to buy not necessarily in bulk, but buy extra because, they're getting harder to get. So just for things like that.
That's a function of the times, I think. I don't think that's been a problem in the past.
Probably not.
Yeah. What has the water board got the authority to do? What can it do?
Well, that's a pretty broad question.
It is.
But what the water board has the authority to do is, number one, vote on the pay and the benefits and the leave and everything for the employees of the water board.
Right.
They have the authority to apply and work for grants for more money from the county and from the state and FEMA and different places like that. They have the authority to make decisions on different aspects of, so if the employees come and they have an idea of maybe if we do this, if we get better aerators, let's say, or whatever, and it'll help the quality. I mean, the water board has the authority to vote. Now, of course, there's other, environmental things at play that, you have to consider for all of that.
Okay. What plans are you aware of that the water board has in place for hurricane season, saltwater intrusion, any other emergencies?
So, well, obviously, everyone at the long term is the pipeline, and that's a long-term goal, and that would be amazing if that could happen. The saltwater intrusion has not been an issue in quite a while, but it very likely could and will happen again. So that that just it's all water tables, and there's not a whole lot that we can do about that if the water level starts dropping because of drought and that salt water starts coming in. There's not a whole lot we can do. We have multiple wells that we can maybe switch to, that may not be suffering that the same issue, but the bottom line, I mean, we just need to come up with a long-term goal. I mean, we have that reverse osmosis system that they don't have running right now because we don't need it. But I remember back when the city purchased it, when that happened, I think it was back in 2016, and we were all having to run uptown and get our water, So from my understanding, they're not running it right now, but it is in place. And so that is, I guess, basically that is the city's solution, in the meantime, in between us getting that pipeline.
Okay.
And then that should just solve the problem altogether.
Okay. In conclusion, okay? We have just a few minutes. What would you like to tell your audience that you haven't had a chance to say yet?
Well, like I said, I love Cedar Key. I love this community. I love the people in the community. I've wanted to be involved, more involved in quite a long time, and I just now feel like I actually have the time to commit to it. So I just want to do my best to, like I said, I view the water board as support to the water department. And so I just want to do whatever I can to work to provide them the resources that they need to do their job.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.